How much time do you want for your progress?
Welcome to Clatter Chatter on Things That Matter, the podcast that is intellectually engaging, theologically reflecting, encouraging, sociologically imagining ways in which we can live. Thank you for spending this short amount of time with us. We promise you that you will not regret a moment of it. Shout out to Trevor Smith and VJ Herbert for commissioning this fantastic music to get our minds going on things eternal, positive, and fulfilling life's purposes. Well, Dr. Hayes, today is August the 11th, 2023. Nearly halfway through the month of August. Where has time gone? School's about to start for many, especially me, and academic year. Come on, Doc, greet the people before I keep on saying stuff.
Well, good morning, and every day is a new day with new information and new challenges and new opportunities. And I'm happy for this opportunity to just talk about some things that are important to us.
Well, I don't even know where to begin. Hot off the press, special counsel has been created for Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden. We are fresh off the sweet tea party that happened in Montgomery. I kind of want to talk about that just briefly because even with all the memes out about the chair and everything, I want to just offer my bit of conjecture for the 16-year-old who ran in towards danger. I think that he for me offers great hope for Generation Z. He didn't hesitate. He hopped in that water and hoisted himself up on a pier. With the strength of all his ancestors, but most importantly, with the integrity and the altruism, the selflessness that his parents instilled in him. He wasn't afraid. And I think that is an expression of great beauty and hope in the midst of something that was so racially charged. And I understand that the fourth person now has charges brought up against him at the heels of a political rally that happened 24 hours prior with Donald Trump, this brawl on the boat where some embrazened, less melanated people decided they were going to hit somebody. And we're not having it, Dr. Hayes. Many of us are tired. And I just want to have a conversation today. No particular agenda. I'm about tired of all of it. Come on, talk back.
Well, it's just wonderful to see a story with a halfway reasonable outcome where the facts are reflected fairly and where we see that there is really no justification for targeting a racial group or a person who is part of a racial group other than our own. But if it comes down to a challenge that we are ready, willing, and able to meet the challenge with the appropriate offense. Yeah. It's interesting that this story really has not even yet taken on the magnitude and the coverage that probably it deserves, because there's so much other minutia filtering the airwaves that a story like this really won't get ample coverage or equal time. For those of us who know what it means, we have embraced it, and we have gained hope and courage from it. And I think that's the important thing.
Yeah. And so I think it hasn't taken traction because everybody knows that it was racially charged, and this is just one more thing. And so no one really wants to have that conversation about how heightened this level of systemic racism is. And so if I can't give it traction, even though it went viral almost immediately, the national news media has not covered it to the extent that I believe they should have on Monday. But most of the stories didn't happen until Tuesday, Wednesday. You get a little traction going on. It was like, we don't even know how to handle it. I mean, how do you bring up a conversation? And the people who gave it wings, Urban View, immediately. Clay Kane and Larry Favors on Monday. I could not wait to turn on Urban View because I knew they were going to talk about it. But the major news outlets, they didn't have no words. And even the correspondents who were people of color couldn't say what they were really feeling because, they really wanted to go in. This is some bullshit. But they couldn't because optics and all of that and the pushback. But Joy Reid did a fantastic job, and later on in the week. But again, these national media outlets took a moment to frame the wording to make it palatable because we don't have the power. Come on, Dr. Hayes.
Well, I just don't. I think that. And you were gracious in giving them all of that understanding, but I don't really believe that they didn't have the words because they are wordsmiths. They are journalists. They have words, and they know exactly what it was. But this was a worker, just an ordinary guy trying to do his job that got jumped by some people who were having recreational moments. And so I think that, just to put it bluntly, he just wasn't important enough to cover to that extent. Even though he had a white shirt on, he was a blue collar worker. He was a security guard.
No, he was actually a co-captain. He
a
was a co-captain of the Harriet. And so he wasn't just a blue collar. He was a co-captain who understood his role in his job. And when he asked politely for this pontoon boat owners to move, they didn't. And so he got off of the Harriet, how appropriate, and went and moved the boat himself. So there you have it. He was a co-captain of the Harriet, and they didn't respect the uniform. It don't matter. That's the story. It doesn't matter what uniform you might wear. Nobody's going to respect you because your color trumps. And who are you to put me, my shirt off, drunk ass, skin red?
Thank you for that clarification, because I was only watching the outtakes on the news, and I really didn't get those details. But you're right. Even at that, he still wasn't important enough for the amount of coverage that Donald Trump is getting this week, for the amount of coverage that fires and the wars and all of those things that are on every day, all day. I think they have a strata of what kind of news is considered more important. And of course, on Urban View, our news is what's important. And that's the reason it's important for us to have Black talk radio, Black TV, and these podcasts with Black personalities that can really report things through the lens of Black people. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah, I'm doing some fact checks. Um, yeah, it was they've identified the co-captain. They brought him to the pier so that he could talk to the owners, and so that's what that was, and it's a shame, and I'm. Oh, God, help us. That's all I can say. We need to have an exhale in the midst of all of this other kind of stuff. There is a new variant of COVID surging. It begins with
Well,
the
that was
E.
to be expected. That was to be expected. And there's going to continue to be. And you're going to find that the fallout from all of these fires is creating major health conditions.
Well, here's the thing. I think a few weeks ago we had a conversation, and I think I had mentioned about nature having veto power. And unfortunately, we're seeing nature. All I can say is we just gotta bind up some more stuff, because it's things that have been loosed. Nature's coming to say we ain't having it. I mean, the poor Maui, and that's not mainland United States, but mainland USA. Our day is coming, Dr. Hayes, and I'm mighty afraid that nature is going to offer that correction that many of us are not prepared for. I bristle at the fact that we've got these major corporations, food processing places closing up. It's going to affect the way to shut down an empire is to attack its infrastructure from the inside out. It's like that nuclear space. I remember one of my former members who was a nuclear engineer talked about the power of nuclear reactors or nuclear energy is that it attacks from the inside and then it goes out. It starts small and then it goes forward. And so I was always intrigued by that explanation of nuclear power, nuclear energy, and the nuclear atom, that it's small, but then it just blows inside out. It's not outside in, but it's the inside out, the nucleus, the interior. And so I'm looking at these closings of the meat packing plants, and these are owned by China. Tyson closed down, and it's affecting my home area. 700 people are losing their jobs in one particular community. The community population is under 7,000. So you're talking about more than 10% of employees that might live in that area are now unemployed. There's the other meat packing place for poultry, Smithfield, for pork. And so we've got poultry and pork. Lord have mercy. And then just the other day, I heard that there was going to be a beef shortage because the cows are. So we've got the meat industry. And so you talk about what that's going to offer us in terms of having access to just the basic necessities of food. That don't include shelter. We already have a houseless a situation going on, a lot of houseless people. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs: food, shelter, clothing, I don't know, but certainly food and shelter, two of the three.
Water is so important.
And water, absolutely. Our sources of water. And there was a report that came out that our sources of water are filled with contaminants.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a correlation to obesity because of the contamination in the water supply. God, in your mercy. Now, then we get this whole report that the U.S. is now the greatest producer of oil. And Saudi Arabia is number 2. But our gas prices are gone up. So what does that mean to us? Why are we producing so much oil? It's that nuclear reaction, Dr. Hayes.
But I think it's the same thing, the same reason why food prices are going up and any other item prices are going up, because this is the opportunity for people to say, okay, they're going up because of inflation when actually prices are going up because of price gouging.
Say it.
Because they raise the prices because they can. Mm-hmm. And this is an opportune time to deflect and make it seem like it's because of something else, when really it's just more corporate greed. I'm down on corporate greed, but I just see it as another opportunity for the rich to get richer. And once Dr. Cooper, once the genie is out of the bottle, in other words, once something takes on momentum, it can get to a place where there's a point of no return. Mm-hmm. And where it doesn't matter what you do to try to mitigate, or to minimize, or to reduce the effect. It's already too late. I'm awfully afraid that that's where we are. We're on a downward track, and all the efforts in the world of right-thinking people won't be able to turn it around. It takes me back to the lesson in Jeremiah in the Bible study last night, that God gives us so much time to repent, to turn around, to change our way. Gives us ample time to do that. But at the end of that time, which is just, there will be no way out, so to speak, other than to go to safe ground and to hide out or to take refuge in places where this is not happening. So my question is, where's the safe space for us once this thing is beyond the point of no return? And I don't hear us talking about that. Where is the safety? And the safety may be right in the midst of the storm. It may be, but I think it's important for us to at least think about it.
Where is our refuge?
Where is our place of refuge? Where is God leading us to shelter? Because surely there is shelter even in a foreign land, even in a strange place. Mm-hmm. There is shelter for the righteous. And I think if there's any salvation, and I know I'm getting real religious here, but that's just where I am. If there's any salvation for the righteous, it will be under the shelter of the Almighty. And so we have to begin to discern, to try to seek the will of God in this situation. And I'm all for continuing the struggle. I'm all for defending our rights. I'm all for all of that. It's good. And we'll make some progress, but at the rate we're going, it won't be enough.
Yeah, I was talking to my sister Sheila this morning, and we were talking. She was quoting a song that I can't remember which one of the people sang it, but the words was like, send a man, where you gonna run? Where you gonna run? And she said when she was looking at something about ancient civilizations and their ruin, she said, I felt like, how do we know the archaeologists are telling the truth? And then she says, I'm looking in real time, Maui being destroyed, and hearing these stories about these people jumping in the ocean as for refuge, Doc, for refuge. Mm-hmm. And hearing you say that, it is so deep. And where is the refuge? Here I am, used to be solid, upper middle class, solid, used to be, with all of the academic accomplishments and even financial opportunities, but I'm really working poor. And the difference that's making me not necessarily categorized as others would assume, because I have cultural capital and social capital, and I can pivot. But where there is no middle class. There are really the haves. It ain't even the haves, it's the elites. Because in a twinkling of an eye, nothing is secure. And even if you think you have money in the bank, you
There
really
you go.
don't, because the bank won't let you withdraw your money out of it. They got a limit on how much you can get of what you think is yours when it's all in theory. And it's
then
scary.
There's no backup, and there's no backup for that paper.
None.
There's nothing behind that paper.
None.
But a rule, but a law that's passed, or what somebody says.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about, you speaking of BRICS, they were talking about Saudi Arabia deciding that they no longer want to use the American dollar as the medium of exchange for oil.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they change if they change the value of the dollar, then you have even less than you thought you had.
The empire is crumbling.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, there are signs all around us, and they are warning signs. It's not too late, but we need to begin to look for that place, as you call the place of refuge. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure where it is. I'm not sure, but I'm certainly wanting to hear what people have to say about what will be the recourse, what will be the remedy for a dire situation. And we have possibilities not only of the economy crashing, but climate change, these weather conditions. I mean, to have fire and wind at the same time, I don't think we have a clue what that is. Mm-hmm. Fire and wind at the same time.
Isn't that the Holy Presence, though? Isn't that the Holy Spirit?
That's the power. That's the power that is in the creation. And the Creator makes use of those instruments when at will. So, when and you listen to the interviews of the people, and they were not expecting it. And they said today that there was no pre-warning. They didn't give those people time to get out.
Where you gonna run? Where's your refuge? And I heard that the airlines, now this is some BS. The airlines are selling tickets for $19 to help folks. Okay, so
Honolulu, to get from Maui to Honolulu.
But still, if you could do that in times of calamity, you can do that in times of prosperity. So stop it. It's the price gouging.
They have their, right. You're right. The prices of airline tickets, another thing that has gone up. But they do it because they can, and they know people are anxious after the pandemic. They're anxious to go places and have vacations. So, this is a good time because people are traveling. Summertime is when people travel. So, yeah, we hike up the prices and we can make a killing.
Dr. Hayes.
And our stockholders, it's the stockholders that really are the focus. Mm-hmm. It's not the workers, it's the stockholders. And so, you have a shortage of pilots, you have a shortage of control tower workers. It's, Dr. Cooper, it's more serious than anybody is letting on.
And the prophets of old gave us a blueprint. If no one else read anything, look at the book of Jeremiah, the weeping prophet. And this is what, if I had to name today's podcast, just based on our conversation, the rumble, the rubble, the refuge, the remnant, the restoration. We hear the rumbling is going on. And here comes the rubbling and the ruins. And where is the refuge? But the remnant. And this restoration, God does it.
In God's own time.
In God's own time. And that's the hope. But we got to go through this time. And maybe at the end we will be better for it. Because the 16-year-old who hopped in this water to go rescue, that's hope. Come on, give us some more before we end, Dr. Hayes.
And that is the remnant. It is that righteous few that will save the whole world. The righteous remnant who know what is right.
And will do it.
The courage to do it.
I hope I'm in that number.
You are.
Touche. You are too, Doc. Keep doing what is right. Because that's all the Lord requires. To do justice, to love mercy.
Love mercy, and to walk humbly.
That's it. All right. It has been a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to have you join in with us today. Remember that everything will be all right until we meet again. Stay safe and well.